Anya, were you able to talk to Scott?
Yeah, Scott confirmed that he was going to join us.
Okay.
All right.
Guess we'll wait then. Well, I guess we're a little early. Oh, there's Scott. Wait one more minute. Is it someone, I'm looking around, this is completely off topic. I was having a conversation a couple of weeks ago with someone that does the New York Times crossword puzzle. It wasn't anybody on this call, was it? Okay.
The crossword puzzle or other games?
The crossword puzzle specifically.
Yeah.
Did you do the crossword puzzle, Evan?
On occasion, we had a Wordle discussion though.
Yeah.
I don't do the crossword puzzle regularly, but I'll do it occasionally.
Well, for anybody that's interested, the crossword puzzle of last Thursday of last week, which was a week ago today, was probably my favorite crossword puzzle that I've ever done. And so I would definitely recommend it to people that are a little bit familiar with crossword puzzles.
Is that only because you got all the words right?
No, it takes more than that to make a good crossword puzzle.
Ah, okay.
You have to be, the Thursday puzzles are always the ones with tricks in them. Like the words aren't right or there's something wrong with them. So you really have to have a little bit of experience with crossword puzzles. But the one last Thursday was really stunning in its construction. I can't, yeah. It was a work of art crossword puzzle.
Hey guys, I want to share something with you that's pretty awesome. It's not quite as awesome as that crossword puzzle. It's a little more depressing, but it's a 6-part lecture series on climate change that Mike Clancy put out. And he is this amazing dude that has this great big title that I can't remember. He worked for the
Hey, Laura, why don't you wait until we have, let me start the meeting and then you can.
That'd be good public comment, definitely.
Okay. You got it.
So I'll go ahead and start the meeting. Today is the July 7th special meeting of the Carmel Climate Committee. We'll note that John Hill and Michael LePage are absent, but everyone else is here. The first item on the agenda is public appearances. Members of the public are entitled to speak on matters of municipal concern not on the agenda during public appearances. So you want to go, Laura?
Sure. Yeah, I'm in on, I just finished video 5 of 6 in the 6-part lecture series on climate change. And it is so comprehensive and it's so digestible. This guy named Mike Clancy, who again has this great title, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but he works with the US Navy. I can't remember if he's civilian or actually in the Navy, but he is this fount of knowledge and he knows the whole story, like starting from billions and billions of years ago. And it's like the way he sets it up is like a pyramid. The 3 bottom videos are all science, then the next 2 are technology, and the last one is policy. And it's just profound. It's so amazing. And like I've been trying to understand this stuff for about 5 years now. And so I feel pretty well versed at it, but he takes things that are so complex and he just spoon feeds it to you in a way that's so digestible and comprehensively understandable. Highly recommend. So
So how do you find it, Laura?
I was just going to say, I'll send the link with all 6 of these videos to Agnes, if that's all right. And then Agnes, you could maybe send them out. And Mike Clancy also just became the head dude, for lack of a better word, of the local chapter of the Citizens Climate Lobby. In fact, I'm going to jump onto their meeting tonight that's happening between 7 and 8:30 or something like this. And they're going to talk about how they just tabled at the local Alvarado Street Farmers Market.
I think, Jeff, didn't he give us start out our climate change?
He did. He was the very first speaker we had.
Yeah.
And I think
He's really
if you look at the Climate Committee website, that very first picture, there's a graph of sort of the stuff going up and stuff coming down. And I think that came straight from Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's ringing a bell. So that'd be kind of, a poetic way to kind of loop back to the very beginning, kind of towards the end of this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's the end, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think if we had been more with it, we would have. We might have invited Mike to come say hello today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Yes, me, Terry Anderson. Hi, I'm new. I'm sure, obviously, to most of you, I'm new. I moved to Carmel in December and have my time recently opened up a little bit. I'm a college professor, so I submitted grades a few weeks ago, and I've been wanting to get involved in climate activism and just wanted to see what y'all are doing. I found out about this committee a couple of weeks ago and was really excited and hoped I could just sit in on this meeting. Is that okay?
It's very okay. We have a very short agenda, and I suspect this is going to be I suspect this is going to be a very short meeting.
That's fine. I just wanted to watch you in action. And for what it's worth, I'm a sociologist. I teach at UCLA, but now I've demanded to remain online. So I got to live where I wanted to. And one of the classes I teach is in environmental sociology. I've been concerned for a really long time and follow climate news and want to put my limited energies in the very best possible place I can, right? So yeah, researching at the moment, but very excited to see that you're doing what you're doing. So I will.
Thank you
I will mute. Absolutely, thank you. I will.
Terry?
Yeah.
Are you on our distribution list? Because if you wanted to be, you would get, the updates about the climate committee.
I want that. Can I put my email in the chat?
Sure. Or you can email it to me.
Okay.
And then I'll add you to our list.
I will do that. What's your email? Or if you want to put it in the chat.
Sure. I'll put it in the chat.
Great.
That way you don't have to share your email with everyone.
I don't mind. I'm pretty publicly available.
Well, you never know.
There you go.
Thank
I
you.
just put that in the chat.
Thank you very much. And I will mute myself and stop my video, but I'll be here.
All right.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Any further public comments? So I think we only have one item on the agenda today. It's review the final draft climate adaptation plan and climate adaptation plan. So Agnes, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so the committee's seen our climate action plan and adaptation plan quite a few times by now. So I wasn't going to go over the reports. I was just going to go quickly over the remaining comments that we incorporated into the 2 reports and then open it up for questions or discussion from the committee if anybody still has any comments or questions. As far as revisions that we incorporated into the report, we added in the outreach section feedback that was received at the city council meeting. In the climate action plan, we added active house under as part of the outreach materials that we would send out or get out into the community that would support efficiency. We did remove specific references to specific programs in the incentives that the city would hand out. Under the adaptation plan, we added the climate committee would oversee the coastal engineering study. We also provided more flexibility on commission oversight. So we did not erase the Sustainability Commission entirely from the report, but we added that the Planning Commission or the Forest and Beach Commission could be commissions that could do this oversight if a Sustainability Commission is not established. Then the next thing was adding the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District as a partner to the city. That was per their request that they sent to the city council. And then finally, in the adaptation plan, we added an action 3.1.3 for electrification of public buildings. And those were all the substantive revisions that we did between our last meeting in June and then this meeting. So I wanted to, and I was going to mention that although Michael and John are not here today, Michael did provide an email where he said to please let the committee know that he approves the report and does not have any additional comments. For the most part, Michael has received very positive feedback on the report, and he thinks the committee can be proud of what it has produced for our community. So I was going to open it up to comments, questions, and last, edits if there are any from the committee. Lynette?
On the cover of the action plan, it says adopted by City Council on. Is that because we didn't update that date, or have they not adopted it, or I wasn't?
So we are awaiting the climate committee to approve the plan before we go to adoption by the council. At the moment, it is on the agenda for the August council meeting for adoption. So I am planning on updating that gap for the council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Comments from Scott or Carrie?
Yeah, I had no further comments based on the latest updates. I think we're good.
Me too.
Well, I have a question. Since I wasn't here for the June council meeting, and I haven't, since I returned, had a chance to listen, can somebody clarify for me exactly what the council's position is on the grant writer? As I'm reading it, it sounds like it's been stalled until another fiscal year. Am I reading it right or incorrectly? Okay, guys.
Who wants to answer that one?
I mean, I think this is a big deal and a serious question. Mm-hmm. How serious are we about any of this if we can't get one staff position? I'm worried.
Bob's raising his hand. Thank you.
Let me try to answer it. And I think it was Councilwoman Tice's comment at the council meeting, but it was discussed when this was the draft climate action and climate adaptation plans was presented to council. The grant writer thing was discussed. It was kind of at the same time that the budget was being adopted. And the thought is to not approve the grant writer at this time. However, Public Works we just got a new administrative analyst and a new administrative technician. So we're going to, this fiscal year, we're going to assess the capacity, if any, assessing capacity for us to do additional grant writing related to, to climate action projects. Possibly at mid-year, at the mid-year budget in January, or next fiscal year for next June, July, this issue could come up again, and we could, say we still need the grant writer, or we could absorb most of it in-house, but we're not there yet. So again, it was clearly addressed to council, and council didn't say no, they didn't say yes. Let's take it slowly and look at it in the future. or at an upcoming date.
Bob, you are the ultimate diplomat. I applaud you in every possible way I can. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Bob.
much for that. However,
I get that a lot. See, Anya's?
I know everybody just have a smile.
Let me
about
mute
this.
my my camera here.
But you know what? I'm just going to be the squeaky wheel, as I sometimes am, and say that I realize that the bandwidth for staff in all of the city departments is about this much extra than they need, which is zilch.
Correct.
And I'm really concerned that the evidence of support for what this work represents is just not being shown at the council level. And I know we've talked about this kind of obliquely as we've gone along, and I'm worried. I think that our ability to deliver and our continual willingness to push additional work on very limited staff is unwise and unrealistic. And I want to be on record about that, obviously, or I wouldn't be saying it publicly. But I feel that at any opportunity we have to push for this and to make it real, articulate its need perhaps better than we've been able to do, that it's important for us to do that, because this work is not going to get smaller, it's going to get bigger. And that's what concerns me, is if at the front end we don't have the staffing support that we need, then as these things grow, that's going to be a double issue. So with that, I will yield the floor.
Lynette, I understand your concern. I think, this committee has been diving deep into this subject for a long time. So we have more of a comprehension of what how immense this project is. I think it's going to take some people, not only the council, but the public, to catch up with us. And I think that's what we're seeing and I think with this report and the way that we want it to kind of keep living through the Planning Commission and through our diligence with Anya's and her staff, I think we're going to get there, but I think it's going to take a little time. So I understand what you're saying. And I think when we start doing that shoreline assessment, and Bob can correct me if I'm wrong, and they return what needs to be done there, that is going to be a big shocker, right? What do you think, Bob?
I believe that to be accurate as well.
Right. So, sometimes to get people on board, sometimes you have to, pull them along. Sometimes you have to shock them. And I think that's going to be part of the big shock. What I would say to you is keep pushing and encouraging the council and the staff after this report gets finally blessed by the council. Do you have anything to add, Jeff?
Not really. I think, Lynette, I'm certainly not calling you out. Getting testimony for people at budget meetings is notoriously difficult. And I think I think this year, we're kind of coming out of the pandemic and people a little squeamish about coming out and, coming out in public. And we started having our public our meetings back in the chambers again. And, we just didn't get a lot of turnout for, we don't get a lot of public input. And I think what would help next year would be for everybody on this committee to round up 10 of their friends and send all of us, send all the whoever the council members are, emails about things that are important to them. And I certainly am not singling you out, and certainly not singling out the grant, the one position of grant writer. And I think that this is an issue that the council faces in every aspect of the budget. We all, it's funny being on the council. I could consistently advocate for, bike lanes and pedestrian safety and stuff like that. And I see Carrie's nodding her head and all that stuff. And sometimes we're just not sure like who's behind us and who's not, because sometimes it's just difficult to hear. It's difficult to sort of get input from the public. So I think public participation, the budget is the most important thing that we do every year. And I think it would be really helpful to all of us, for anybody tuning into this meeting, that the council hears from you, starting in, where do we start? By the time we get the mid-year budget review, the budget process has already started, in January. So that would really help all of us and this cause.
I think your point is well taken. In general, the perhaps exception I would make to this is that this has been a concerted 2-year process that is and hasn't been a surprise to anyone as we've rolled along, that there was going to be something that needed to be done that was going to require resources. And so while I take your comment, Jeff, seriously for myself, and I understand it for the community as a whole, this feels a little different than some of the other smaller or less maybe engaged in over time issues in the budget. So I still come up feeling very disappointed about this and hoping that there may be some way, and perhaps even mid-year, that some reconsideration is possible, especially given how the city has touted its financial performance during the pandemic. So, those are my maybe final comments on it.
Okay. So anybody else? Should we call it a day?
Well, I think despite maybe not having the progress that Lynette thinks, I think we can still be proud of these two products. I think we can say that we have taken a lot of time. We've reached out to a lot of people. And so I think the results of our 2 years, we have something to show for it. And thanks to Anya's and Evan and helping us get to this point in terms of the final product, and the consultants. Thank God we could get them. So I think we can be proud of what we've done, and we have something to show for all our work. And so this is the diving board of the spring off point. And we hope that people will continue, that it'll be a project that stays alive. And it will, because some of the consequences will be facing us if it doesn't. Right. So thank you. I want to just thank everybody for their time and effort, because this is not the normal committee that the city has. So, being so dedicated, I appreciate everybody's work and thought that have gone into this. So thank you.
Can I ask a question about the August council meeting? What is it that we expect to receive ideally as a reaction from the council? Adopting?
Yeah, so we already...
Plan, and what does that mean?
We already presented the plan to council in June, and they were very supportive. So we anticipate it's actually at the moment on consent for August, and we anticipate council to just adopt the plan so that it becomes an adopted plan of the city. So it's, it's an official plan of the city after that.
So
And if
it's
I may,
planned for the,
yeah, when it was presented in May or June, it was still considered a draft. And then we got comments from the public and from council at that meeting, which the last couple of meetings of this committee has been incorporated into the now final version. So it was initially as a draft, and now we're looking for adoption as a final product.
but it's on consent rather than on the regular agenda, right?
Tentatively, yes.
Oh, okay.
And that's because Anya's did a larger presentation and did a PowerPoint and explained it. And the feedback from the council was quite positive. They gave us some feedback in terms of it kind of going to the Planning Commission. They gave us some feedback on some of the projects that they felt needed to be done, like the shoreline assessment project. So it was quite positive. There weren't any really red flags. Don't you agree, Jeff?
Yes, I'll have some comments on that in a minute.
So
that's right. And I would point out that anybody is free to remove something off of the consent calendar. If for any reason at all, you're welcome to come to the meeting and say, I have an issue, or I have a discussion, or I have a comment, or something like that. So the fact that it's on the consent calendar doesn't mean that it's not important or that we can't have a discussion about it. It mostly just means that we're not going to have a staff presentation.
Laura?
Yes, thank you. If which I hope it is, and I assume it will be, the plan is adopted, when would implementation begin?
Well, implementation, there are lots of things in the plan with lots of different timelines. So I think one of the things that implementation on some of the things has already started to happen. The drainage stuff, the issue that we talk about all the time has already started to happen. Some of the bike and, things I talk about, bike and pedestrian improvements, that's already made its way, somewhat been injected into some of the planning on the stuff that's going on, or hopefully will go on Ocean Avenue. One of the things in the plan, for example, is this shoreline report, which we're going to talk about in a minute under future agenda items. That's one of the things that the plan recommends, and that's already in next year's capital improvement project budget. Okay. So that's already going on. And I think I'm hoping, and I think the general plan is that someone in Bob's department will sort of take on the whole climate plans as sort of a project plan, sort of a really loose long-term project plan, and we'll just start checking the things that are identified specifically in the plan off of the list as we get to them.
Just to clarify, that's in the current fiscal year, not next year. So the coastal engineering study is for this.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, it was the current fiscal. It was next year when we adopted it, but exactly. We're now 7 days into the current fiscal year. So that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And if I may, there's also other projects. The drainage study is about to get launched. The coastal engineering study is we'll be talking about that in a moment.
The storm drainage.
We're purchasing an electric street sweeper at the next council meeting next week. We're looking at EV charging stations. There's the design review guidelines. So several things are already started. Long ways to go. It's a long-term plan, but we're not waiting for adoption to get started on anything. Some things are already getting rolling.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And one last little comment. I just want to say it's been a real honor to be here as part of the public witnessing this whole process happen. And I'm just so proud of you guys and grateful for all of your efforts and your everything, all the juice that you keep bringing to the table to make it happen. It's not an easy conversation. And Lynette, I love your passion and your perseverance and your questions. You're awesome. All of you have just been so great. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so should we go on to the, I wasn't planning on having a roll call vote or anything like that. So should we go on to the next item, which is future agenda items? I did have a comment I wanted to make. Scott had sort of raised the issue about the coastal engineering report. That's a part of the plan that's in the budget this year. And I did have sort of an offline conversation with Scott about that. And then I did have an offline conversation with Bob and Chip and Agnes about that. And so to alleviate sort of Scott's concern, not to allay Scott's concerns at all, but the plan right now is for the RFP. The RFP will come back to this committee before it's released for bid. So I know that there are issues about sort of how long-term the RFP is, whether it's looking 1 year into the future or 5 years in the future or 20 or 30 years in the future, and what exactly it's going to address and how it's worded. So this committee will get to provide feedback on that before it's issued by the city. And now I'm going to hopefully not be contradicted by ever conciliatory Bob.
Not contradicted, certainly, sir. Just kind of clarifying the selection process.
I'm going to be clarified.
Well, whatever. So we requested a statement of qualifications from a number of different professional consulting services, including coastal engineering / geotechnical engineering, including environmental services. So we've been going through those statement of qualifications. We have identified some tentative consultants that standalone might not meet our needs, but we have, in fact, tomorrow, Agnes and I will be talking to another consultant to see if we can compile, it's still a qualification-based selection process through our statement of qualifications, but compiling up a team so that all of the issues that are in all the objectives of this project are covered by the consultants, because it's not one person or one company can really do all the different components. So that's what we're working on. We're not going to issue a new RFP unless, if this doesn't work out, if we can't cobble together a good consultant team, then we would have to do an RFP from scratch. We're hoping not to have to do that. We're hoping we can cobble together something. Then they would give us a specific or project-specific proposal that would be presented to the committee when it's ready. Take a look at that, absorb it, see if that, to ensure that all the objectives are met or will be met. And then if the committee gives us a green light, then we'll take that to the city council to award the professional services agreement and get the project going. So we don't have to start with an RFP at this point, or certainly hopefully not.
Yeah, sorry, my bad on mixing all those terms together.
It's okay. I've done this before.
So Scott, you okay with that? How that all sounded?
Yeah, that sounds great. No, I think that's appreciated to kind of see it going through the pipeline and just to see if we have alignment with what we're aiming to achieve. So thank you.
Right.
Hey, Bob, do you have any idea when that project proposal will come back?
I'll take a guess at 2 months.
Okay, so we'll see everybody on this call back in two or 3 months.
Yeah.
So as of right now, we don't have any other meetings scheduled, right?
Well, we have regular meetings, right? And we'll just start canceling them, Agnes, and we'll keep the regular meetings on the schedule.
Right.
Is that what we would do?
Yeah, I think that's what we would do. We would just cancel until we have, until we're ready to review the proposal.
Yeah, when we get together in 2 months, we'll write the agenda so that we could do a check-in with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there'll be other things on the agenda other than that item, but issues will come up and we'll address them when they come up. Okay, 33 minutes, shortest city meeting ever, maybe, except, well, I'm not going to get myself into trouble. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.